and welcome to episode 2 of Arms, Armor, Etc. here on Cracking in Your Coffee. In today's episode, I wanted to cover a topic that's gear related. I know there's already a lot of videos that somewhat address this subject, including one that I made on a different channel that's absolute garbage, but I still haven't seen anything that's a straightforward answer to the question, what is the difference between a Shemagh and a Keffiyeh? Well, I'll take a deeper dive into the etymological, historical, and cultural background on the Shemagh and Keffiyeh. The short answer to this question is they are identical. Both are large 42 by 42 inch square pieces of woven cloth, typically made out of cotton, that serve as a headdress or scarf, having its roots in the Middle East. Having given an extremely broad stroke shared definition on the Shemagh and Keffiyeh, we can move more into the nitty-gritty details behind both. The key to understanding why these two separate names are used for the same style of head covering is rooted in language. Keffiyeh is an Arabic word, which literally means from the city of Kufa. Shemagh is also Arabic, but derives from the Ottoman Turkish word yazmak, which means veil, and going back even further, yazmak comes from the Proto-Turkic word yal, which means to hide. Some other Arabic names for this head covering are gutra, hata, mashada. In Kurdish, this scarf is called dasmad yazdi or semidani. And as always, just a small disclaimer, I don't speak Arabic or Kurdish, so I apologize if I butchered any of those pronunciations. I'd also just like to note that these are by far not the only names for this head covering, but just a few examples that I found. All of these names, including many others out there, can be interchangeable with one another in terms of definition, but may or may not be the preferred term depending on what specific region you are in. The best comparison I can draw is how we here in America have tons of catch-all names for soft drinks. Whether it's soda, tonic, Coke, or pop, it's referring to the same type of beverage, but people will look at you funny if you use anything other than the regionally preferred name. While I know that may be a shitty example because dialect and language are not the same thing, it's where my mind went to first. Moving on from word origins and shifting to cultural context, here there's very little variance, as both Shemaghs and Keffiyehs originate from the Middle East and serve the same purpose as head coverings. Keffiyehs and Shemaghs are traditionally male headscarves that can be worn in a large variety of styles, ranging from partial to total head covering, as well as neck protection. They can also be worn with an agal, a traditional Middle Eastern headband that secures the scarf around the crown of the head. Various groups have adopted Keffiyehs and Shemaghs over the years for both practical and fashionable purposes. These include but are not limited to both Middle Eastern and Western militaries, activist movements, politicians, and models. The popularization of Keffiyehs and Shemaghs, in the West in particular, as fashion accessories, has led to variations in the traditional design that deviate in color, pattern, material, and quality of production. Long before it became widely popularized as a fashion accessory outside of the Middle East, the Keffiyeh has carried its own rich history, from its production to political symbolism. While the name Keffiyeh, as mentioned earlier, literally means from the city of Kufa, it has been traditionally produced in a wide range of Middle Eastern countries, including Jordan and Syria, among others. This means it's not exclusively limited to Iraq, as it has been used throughout the Middle East for thousands of years. Palestinian production is somewhat unique in that the Hibarawi textile factory, located in Hebron, proudly declares themselves to be the only and last to produce keffiyehs in the traditional style found in Palestine. Founded by Yasser Hibarawi in 1961, the factory at one time produced more than 150,000 keffiyehs a year. But faced by heavy competition from facsimile Chinese production, the Hibarawi textile factory was forced to scale down its production and has struggled to survive. International press coverage drawing attention to the plight of the factory has aided in keeping the business alive, but the market is still dominated by cheaply made copies. Staying on the subject of Palestine, the Keffiyeh, especially those featuring a black and white pattern, is sometimes referred to as the unofficial Palestinian flag, due to the significant role it has played as a symbol of Palestinian nationalism. Its use during the Arab Revolt of 1936 to 1939 in Palestine has played heavily into the headscarf's politicalization over the years, and criticism from various political factions has been raised around the Keffiyeh's use, particularly in the context of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Moving away from politics, the Keffiyeh has been worn by a number of prominent historical figures, most notably the Palestinian political leader Yasser Arafat and British Colonel T.E. Lawrence, more commonly known as Lawrence of Arabia. Both wore the head covering so frequently that in each case it became an iconic part of their image. Speaking to my own personal experience with Keffiyehs and Shemaghs, I currently own one of each and have used them heavily over the past several years. The Keffiyeh I own is an original from the Hibarwi textile factory, which I was gifted roughly 10 years ago from a family member who visited Hebron. My Shemagh is produced by Miltech, which of course means it is not a traditional piece like my Keffiyeh is. Both are the standard size of 42 by 42 inches and are made of loosely woven fabric in slightly different styles. The Keffiyeh's pattern, being Hibarwi made, is of course traditional, but not quite the classic fishnet pattern that is most commonly seen, and closer resembles a honeycomb pattern. Hibarwi produces a wide range of pattern styles, with this one only being a small sampling of their variants. The Shemagh is somewhat closer to the fishnet pattern, but also does not adhere exactly to that style. The Shemagh is also not made of cotton like the Keffiyeh is, and is noticeably not nearly as soft or comfortable to wear, as it scratches at the skin somewhat. Additionally, the Shemagh, being green and black, does not hold to the traditional color scheme and is more concurrent with a modern military or tactically marketed style. The Keffiyeh, on the other hand, while not black and white, the most popular traditional colors, is red and white, which is also quite common color scheme seen across the Middle East. While my Keffiyeh is of a higher production quality, both serve their role excellently as head coverings and have been extremely valuable to me personally in both cold and hot weather climates. The range of styles in which both these head coverings can be worn offers up a wide range of aid against a variety of environmental conditions, from sun, heat, dust, and cold weather protection to even a crude form of air filtration against smoke inhalation. While designed as a head covering, both pieces can serve as other improvised roles, such as a sling, bandage, ground cover, pillow, bag, or water filter, just to name a few. Over the years, both of these headscarves have served me through everyday use as well as hiking, camping, backpacking, and cross-country trips, and I can truly say I haven't found either lacking in terms of performance in the slightest bit. To bring things full circle back to my initial question of what is the difference between a Keffiyeh and a Shemagh, my answer is still the same, which is to say there is no noticeable difference. However, the experience of taking the time to look into the history and culture behind these two headscarves has been fascinating for me personally, and I hope my enthusiasm for this extremely versatile accessory has sparked an interest in at least some of you. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked the video and want to see more in the Arms, Armor, etc. series, make sure to let me know, and if you want to see more of my content in general, please consider subscribing.